4 adults who suffer from bunions. Every step may be painful, and bunions only get worse over time until treated surgically. With the old way of doing surgery, bunions often return. Lapiplasty 3D bunion correction is changing that. Lapiplasty's innovative approach realigns your toe and secures the joint to fix the root cause. There are risks associated with surgery. Find a Lapiplasty surgeon today and learn more about the Lapiplasty procedure at lapiplasty.com. When your feet hurt from bunions, even a few steps can feel like a mile. And for the 1 in 4 adults who suffer from bunions, every step may be painful, and bunions only get worse over time until treated surgically. With the old way of doing surgery, bunions often returned. Lapiplasty 3D bunion correction is changing that. Lapiplasty's innovative approach realigns your toe and secures the joint to fix the root cause. There are risks associated with surgery. Find a Lapiplasty surgeon today and learn more at lapiplasty.com.
Dish makes TV easy. Prime Video? It's easy.
Then click Prime Video.
The app is now right there with all your live TV.
You've got this.
We got this. They got this. Dish. Streaming and live TV all in one place.
An America that flirted with legalized prostitution, where gays were seen as a threat to national security, and a deadly hate crime fueled a movement. Where we've been can show us where we're going. This is life. Meet Tonal, the smartest home gym with revolutionary digital weight, so you can be your strongest. Visit Tonal.com. Your car keys are sometimes hard to find. A missing sock? Always hard to find. A Bigfoot? Really hard to find. But finding the perfect product to wow your customers or celebrate your team? Easy. Just go to 4imprint.com. A team with the passion and know-how to ensure your logo looks great on products people use and love. Find the perfect products to create meaningful connections at 4imprint.com. 4imprint. For certain.
This is what real food looks like. Fresh, real meat and veggies. The food dogs were built to eat. The Farmer's Dog is changing the way we feed our pets. Visit tryfarmersdog.com to see your dog's personalized meal plan.
This is Life with Lisa Lang. New season premieres tomorrow at 10 on CNN.
Closed captioning brought to you by Mesobook.com.
We offer a free book on mesothelioma. Call for the free book and receive so much more. Call 1-800-831-3700.
All right, right now, Delta Airlines is the only one of the 4 major U.S. airlines that is not requiring employees to be vaccinated. Delta Pilots Union is instead telling employees it supports your individual right. But other major companies are taking a different stance. American Airlines is giving its workforce a simple ultimatum: get vaccinated or get fired. But with holiday travel season around the corner, can the airlines keep up with the expected travel surge? CNN's Pete Muntean has more.
American Airlines has set the deadline for its employees in the United States to get vaccinated as the day before Thanksgiving. It's the timing that is so interesting here, because the Wednesday before Thanksgiving is typically the kickoff to the busy holiday travel season. American will not say if that is intentional, but the airline is actually going one step further here than other vaccine mandates. It's requiring that these employees get vaccinated fully by November 24th, meaning somebody who's getting the Moderna shot would have to get their first dose on October 27th. Clock is ticking for tens of thousands of employees here who just got a sternly worded memo from American Airlines which says, to be clear, if you fail to comply with the requirement, the result will be termination from the company. We know that these mandates work on the vaccine hesitant. Take United Airlines mandate, for example, just went into place last week. 67,000 employees in the United States had to submit to this, and of those, only about 232 resisted, and United tells us that number went down as the firing process for those employees began. Pete Muntean, CNN, Washington.
All right, Pete, thanks so much. More ahead. Hello again, everyone. Thank you so much for being with me. I'm Frederica Whitfield. We begin this hour with new developments on the Capitol riot investigation. A source tells CNN that Dan Scavino, a top aide to former President Trump, has now been served with a subpoena. Scavino is one of several former Trump aides. The January 6th Select Committee wants to appear at a deposition next week. CNN's Marshall Cohen is covering these developments for us. So, Marshall, what more do we know about this subpoena being served and received?
Hey, Frederica, how are you? This is the fourth of four subpoenas to some of President Trump's strongest supporters and closest allies from his time in the White House. It's Dan Scavino, who was a deputy chief of staff and really the brains behind a lot of former President Trump's activities on social media. The latest reporting as of this morning is that the subpoena was served down at Mar-a-Lago. Scavino wasn't there, but he is in possession of this subpoena. He'll now have to start working with his attorney to formulate a response to the committee because they want all kinds of documents, communications, emails, and as you said, they want a deposition too. That all could possibly be coming down the road, but where things stand right now with Scavino and the other Trump aides, it's important to break this down one by one because it's not just Scavino. There's also Steve Bannon. There is Mark Meadows, and there's also Kash Patel, who was a top official at the Defense Department. Bannon has said that he's going to put his foot down. He's going to take Trump's direction and try to fight this in court, try to claim executive privilege. The legal scholars say that's probably never going to work, but we'll see if it goes to court. And then Meadows and Patel, the committee, the January 6th Select Committee in the House, put out a statement saying that those two guys are engaging with lawmakers. They are trying to figure out a way forward. So at this moment, that first batch of subpoenas, we're starting to get some responses. It's really not clear if any of them are really going to comply and give over any documents or any testimony, but this is where things stand right now, Fred.
All right, and then let's talk about this request or demand former president is trying to claim executive privilege, not just over witness testimony, but documents as well.
A lot of documents that former President Trump, wants to keep secret, keep out of the hands of this committee, which of course is tasked with figuring out exactly what he was doing that day on January 6th and on the run-up to that day and that insurrection. So former President Trump did make it clear this week that he wants current President Biden to use executive privilege to shield those documents. But the Biden White House said, not so fast. They said in clear terms that they are not going to bail out Trump on this particular batch of documents, and the reason being that they think that there is no protection for an effort to subvert the Constitution. Let me read to you exactly what they said. This is a statement from the current White House counsel in the Biden White House. This says, quote, "The constitutional protections of executive privilege should not be used to shield from Congress or the public," that's us, "information that reflects a clear and apparent effort to subvert the Constitution itself." So in plain language, what that means is that the Biden White House is okay with handing over these sensitive documents so that the lawmakers and us in the public can figure out exactly what Trump was doing that day. If he still wants to fight, he'll have to go to court. Fred?
All right, Marshall Cohen, thank you so much. Let's talk more about all this. Joining me right now to talk is Shan Wu. He is a former federal prosecutor and a defense attorney. Shan, so good to see you.
Good to see you. Fred.
Okay, so trying this hard to shield documents and testimony simply screams guilt, or at least trying to hide something.
It does. And unfortunately, for the former president, executive privilege is not his to invoke anymore. Privilege, as we all know, is something meant to protect confidentiality, doctor-patient, attorney-client. But there's a big difference about executive privilege. It's not personal. It belongs to the office of the president.
And wouldn't his attorneys know this?
Well, I think they do know that, but they also have a duty for zealous advocacy. So they're going to try to assert that anyway. I think, though, more importantly, as Marshall is pointing out, they first tried to convince the current president of the United States to invoke it, and the White House has declined to do that.
Right. And so now even through attorneys representing these four who have been subpoenaed, particularly the lawyer for Steve Bannon, says the former president instructed him to defy testimony. So if that's the case, I mean, I guess he's alleging that's going to be his protection. But if that is the case, wouldn't that be obstruction?
It certainly could be obstruction. Trump would have legal counter arguments to make that he is claiming it's his interpretation of executive privilege, so he'd say he has a good faith basis rather than an intention to obstruct Congress in this case. But that certainly could be something. I think the Justice Department is less likely to go after that kind of instruction as obstruction. I think the litmus test for them is going to be if these defiant rebels like Bannon won't comply and Congress makes a criminal referral, what will Attorney General Merrick Garland do?
And do you see that that is the direction that it's likely to go?
It sounds like that's what the Select Committee wants to do. I would actually suggest that if they're serious about using all their tools, that they go routes simultaneously. They can file the civil suit, which typically takes longer, and they can ask DOJ to prosecute it for criminal contempt. And for this DOJ, unlike the other one, I don't think there's going to be a conflict where they don't want to prosecute it. But Garland's DOJ, with all due respect to my former colleagues, has been a little bit timid about going after former Trump officials, I think. So this will be a big test for them if they're willing to do that.
And why do you think that is? Because the Department of Justice doesn't want to come across as, they're afraid of any appearances of doing work for the White House, because obviously the former president